Now, for those of you who know MCSU's history, you'll know that Hugh's been part of that history. He's been here before. He was back here in 2004 as the lieutenant in charge of the geo section in what was the Fleet Information Management Unit at the time. That's why I've got a load of dits here, because there's some crackers. So despite being a naval officer, going through all that specialised training, being a geophysicist as a first degree, his maths is actually appalling, and so is his timekeeping. In fact, it says here that he works with a parallel timing system similar to Cornish miles, where 1 Earth minute is equal to 10 Hugh minutes. Thus his 5-minute dits lasts about half an hour.
We'll soon see.
And then the other thing about Hugh, as you'll know, is he's got this self-denial thing going on with this Welsh-English battle, the internal battle he keeps having with himself. And it says he refuses to concede that he's actually English. And then another day he'll be back in the office, and he's got, if ever the optimist, he believes that Wales are going to win the Rugby World Cup at the expense of England. So he's got this dilemma going on.
Absolutely.
It's a bit like in the closet, out of the closet.
My wife has been loyal.
Something else Hugh's keen on is obviously cycling, but he's probably not the best coordinated cyclist. And there are times when, if you see these guys on racing bikes, as Hugh does for triathlons and things, they've got those clippy shoes and the pedals, and they're pedalling off, and they go really fast. But the moment they come to stop, they forget to take their feet out. And Hugh's done this on a number of occasions and embarrassed himself in front of many onlookers. But probably his most significant cycling event was when he was competing in a triathlon in the New Forest. And he was pelting down one of the New Forest hills over 30 miles an hour, and a cow just wandered into the middle of the road. Now, cows are quite big, and you think about to go around it, but not Hugh. He thought he'd go through it. It didn't move. Cow didn't move, and sadly, it says here, had to go to hospital. Now, I'm not sure if it's the cow that went to hospital or that he went to hospital. But obviously the cycling thing is a big thing with him. Another significant event that's happened to Hugh whilst he's been at MCSU, he's had the gentleman's procedure. Now, the gentleman's procedure... The gentleman's procedure involves cauterisation of tubes, and I'm not going to say any more than that. But he was asking advice of friends and colleagues, and for some reason he asked the advice of Nick Cross. I mean, why on earth, for those who know Nick, he's been the last person I go to. But Nick was saying that during this procedure, there's obviously some cauterisation that goes on, and he said the overwhelming sense he had at the time was burnt barbecue pork. And he went through the same procedure, and afterwards, he sent a message to Nick saying, "You're absolutely right. There I was, 2 nurses doing their thing, and all I could think of was you and barbecue pork." It's probably the strangest thing to say. Being MCSU, we all have the privilege of working with former colleagues from the services and their dits and everything else, and their stories. And he likes to try and compete with those, but sometimes he falls a little tiny bit flat in not knowing what a Leander class frigate was, or ever hearing of, or Douglas Bader. We've also very, very happy to have very important visits from other nations. I like to think that we do the outreach very well in terms of NATO and our European partners. And we had a visit from the Royal Netherlands Navy. Sadly, I couldn't help out with that visit for the run ashore, but Hugh was there doing the bit for MCSU, flying the flag, and he asked this commander in the Royal Netherlands Navy what family life was like in Brussels. So geography's not...
It was worse than that. I did ask him what the Danish Navy was like as well.
And there's more here, but I'm not going to do any more. And he's also got a plethora of stock phrases, apparently, that he tends to bore the ocean with. But I can't believe that. We've got many presentations. Well, I've got a few presentations which we'll do in a minute, but I've got one here Another thing about Hugh, of course, is his almost Herculean strength. Now, I'm not sure if that comes from the Welsh mining stock lineage, but as I was sorting out Dave Moody's drawers, I found this invoice from Brittany Ferries. And apparently there was a run ashore, a proper run ashore on a ship, visiting another country last year, and Hugh, with his superhuman strength, tried to move this bar stool, which was fixed to the deck with bolts, and he managed to wrench it off and actually move it because he wanted to sit closer to his friends, which is a lovely thing. So, on behalf of Brittany Ferries, I'd like to present you here with an invoice for £500. On a serious side, Hugh, you've been here for 2.5 years. You've done an absolutely cracking job. You've put FEMU, DIS and MCSU back on the operational map. You've helped drive through the harbour support process. You've been absolutely key in making sure I get settled and looking after me in my first 6 months. So, personally, and on behalf of MCSU, I'd just like to say thank you very much for all you've done there.
Thank you.
You're off to Brunson. Big move. Where's Brunson?
Sat nav.
You're off to Brunson with the family to do a job in NATO. We wish you every success in that job, and I'm sure that we'll see you back in MCSU sometime in your career. Hugh, thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
And just before you do this one, the lads from B-Leg have got something to say to you. 1, 2, 3. Just before we do this one, the lads of B-Leg
I'm now scared.
have got something to say to you. 1, 2, 3.
Hugh of Cumbria's life is changing, mission statements he's exchanging. NATO needs some rearranging, he's gonna change the shape. Hugh of Cumbria, he'll be toiling, he won't take no Eurofoiling. Spanish oceans won't be boiling, he's cutting through red tape. What sort of name is NATO? It's such a hot potato. Hugh's running through his focus group. It didn't get past main gato. The name just sounds like a vacation. Why not call it information? Data and simulation. Who's gonna work at this?
Well done.
As the only druid left in the village, I'm touched. I really am. The English can sing.
How to be an OIC in process now. Sorry, speech.
Who's the process ninja? Where'd you get that from?
I look like them. The bottom part.
Sea dogging. What have we got here? Let's have a look, see. See if I can get in here.
No, look at that later. Speech, mate.
Is it? Happy days. So, to be honest with you, everything Carol said is what I was going to say. 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, the appointer gave me a shout when I was in the Gulf and said, "Shippers, you ever heard of FEMU?" No idea what he's talking about. And I said, "Well, that sounds good. Where is it on the map?" "Oh, yes, it just happens to be where I was a few years ago." And I said, "I'll give that a whirl there." And telling everybody out in the Gulf and in PGHQ, "Where are you going?" "FEMU." "Really? You sure?" And yeah, it'll be fine, trust me. Little did they know, but this is quite honestly, I think, one of the best places you could possibly hope to work with. As Carol says as well, it is all about the people, and it's been an awesome 2.5 years. So really, from me, it's thanks very much to the entire MCSU team as we are now, and no, it's been good news. From me, it's a great time to leave. I don't want to go because it's just all coming together. My OJR has been written, so that's squared away. I don't need to worry about that. But I personally feel that it's all coming together, and it's going to be good news. And I don't know if anybody's met my relief. Helen, who's there, joins on the 6th of July. Chuffed a bit to hand over to someone who is as worryingly as keen on all this information stuff as I am there. So from me, a big thank you to the whole team, and hopefully see many of you tomorrow night, and again when I come back and darken the door. So thank you very much.